contractor before. I owned a cabinet shop for 10 years. My first career starting at 17 as a worker, self-employed at 19. So I know the subs. I just know the dynamics that go between subs and contractors and workers and individuals that hire subs. And I got a low tire indicator. Anyways, and so I'm telling you right now, you save yourself a lot of hassle letting your subcontractors know, hey, make sure that they're capable of good work. You got to make sure they're capable of good work. In other words, they got to have, if you don't actually go witness them working and seeing what they do or know people personally, then at a minimum, you need to, just check their work. You have to. If you don't know what you're going to get. But I can tell you, you'll do yourself, save yourself a lot. Hey, don't pay anybody up front. Good subs don't need to be paid up front at all. You might pay for the material to bring on site, but you don't pay them up front. There's no reason to ever give a down payment on labor. Labor is delivered daily, and that you can simply be on the job. You can tell them when they get to a certain point that you'll pay them the balance or you'll give them a draw, but always keep them in arrears. Always owe them money. Always. It's very important, especially if you're starting with somebody new that you don't know well. Uh, because people walk, people, get discouraged. They get most of the pay, then they don't come back and finish. Seen a lot of nightmares like that. I've been the contractor they call to come, second. That's the problem. They say fix it, whatever. Do it right the first time, or you're going to be doing it twice anyways. And that's why they say measure once, or measure twice and cut once. It's kind of the same thing. Measure up your sub, and you'll only have to hire one, not two. The second one to clean up the mess of the first. That happens. But it's still, I'm in a time right now that I've got good subcontractors. I got some that are really good, and I got some that are not that great. They can be good, but they are subject to the same problems that all employers are, and that is employees that aren't as good as they hoped. That's putting it nicely. But when you have work you're doing, construction, it's very tough to undo. Like I say, easy to do, hard to undo. I talk about that all the time about in contracts and things that you engage in. Well, you need to let your subs know that, listen, I expect everything to be perfect. If it's tile, you expect the grout lines to be the same everywhere, not wider here, not that they pull the tile. Sometimes they cut a tile short and they'll pull it, if there's a straight edge to match, and then all of a sudden you got gaps, maybe they'll try to split the difference. Stuff like that is not acceptable, and you got to let them know up front. And a lot of people say, oh, I don't want them to think I expect that I'm a hard person to work for, uh, because then they'll charge me more. Well, listen, being charged more is not the end of the world, because there's nothing worse than repairing work as it goes in. And that's what the risk you have. When somebody's doing stuff and you're catching problems along the way, and they're having to pull tile and remud it, or it could be anything. Really, it could be anything. It could be finished carpentry. It could be all kinds of stuff. So you let them know up front that you expect everything to be perfect, and they may say, well, you're going to pay for it, right? And say, of course. But a good sub is like, they don't even go there. They say, of course it's going to be good. It's going to be good. And if you check the references, then you should be able to tell that it is good. But I can tell you, as a sub, I've hired guys. I'll tell you a nightmare incident. Hey, Liam, how you doing? There's another carpenter friend. Um, yeah, I had a cabinet shop, and I got really busy. And I was doing these homes that are 7,000 square feet, which were pretty big homes to me at that time. And back then, this is in the 80s. $50,000, a lot of cabinets back then. And I had so much going that I had to start hiring people. So I was starting to hire strangers, and check the references. Just not having time. We didn't have the internet back then. But so I had multiple jobs going. I was doing probably a house every other day, which is quite a bit for as big as these houses were. And I had subs that were installing. Installing is like a whole different skill set than a cabinet maker. Finish carpenter has a lot of those skills built in because they're dealing with things that are out of square and putting indoors. So finish carpenters make pretty good uh, cabinet installers, but a cabinet maker is not necessarily a good installer. And so in fact, I probably installed most of my cabinets for a very long time because it's very tough to fill those shoes. And anyways, I got this. I'm running in, I'm checking on jobs, and I got guys, and I'm looking at their work, and I'm making sure they're trimming, that they're hanging things level, and it's looking pretty good. And months later, I get a call. I get a guy tell me, first of all, he says, "Hey, Tom, some lady was sobbing over a box of glass." I go, "Sobbing?" "Yeah, she's sobbing in her driveway." I stopped and asked her, "Hey, how are you doing?" And she says, "Oh, uh, the cabinet maker did this and the things fell off the wall." And it's a terrible story. But this lady had all these Civil War era antiques. And the guy that I hired to put in my cabinets, he hung it cabinet. He was working by himself, and he took a finish gun, pop, 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 and he loaded it with finish nails to hold a very substantial kind of a china hutch cabinet up on the wall. And with his intent was to go back and set screws that would hold it. This was his way of just kind of getting it in place. Not a good idea. He should have just you know, cut some supports and put it in place, and by himself he could have done that, but he did it how he did it. Doesn't matter now. So I get the call, you know major damage. And what the story is a huge cabinet about as wide as his car. It shifted, fell forward because it wasn't screwed to the wall, and as it came forward it caught again on the drywall up high, and about $40,000 worth of Civil War era antiques blew out the front glass all over the kitchen table. Kids had just been eating there 10 minutes before. Could have been a mess. And could have been, somebody could have got hurt. And so I went over there, and man, it was tough walking through her house. And it felt like I wanted to cross my arms because I felt like I was in an antique shop because everything was perfect, just the most pristine looking antiques you've seen all over the place. The walls, pictures of, I'm trying to make conversation with her. We're going up the stairs, and I go, "Oh, this is a neat picture." And she said, "Yeah, that's my great, 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 great uncle." And she said some of those antiques were his. And I'm like, "Ah, no more questions." I'm not asking any more questions. Anyways, so long story short, I reported it to my insurance. Lucky, not everybody has insurance, and I struggled to have insurance back then. It was a struggle to pay for insurance, but I did, and boy was I glad because they paid for $40,000 worth of antiques. She was made whole, but it's you can never make her completely whole because she lost some treasured family heirlooms. So it's really, for me as a subcontractor, of course, it's important for me to hire right people. I learned a good lesson there. And, and I can tell you as a sub, if you're out there as a sub, if you're new, if you're young, listen, it's better to turn down work than to turn out poor work or or be late. You really want to keep your schedule, even if you have to give up a job or two. They'll respect you a lot more for that. You know, my contractors that I work for, in the beginning I struggled because I was too cheap. Well, then I raised the prices, and then I pushed them up even higher. And what I would tell the builders, and this is how I feel myself, is I say, listen, you want to be at the top of the list, I got to charge you. And so I started, I charged them a fair amount where I could make money and I was happy. And so if you want to go to the top of the list in jobs being done, then you got to pay. You got to give me a reason to keep you at the top. And that is be good pay and regular work. And so, because once in a while you get some flaky person, treat me good on this one, and I'll let you, I'll give you another job. Well, forget that. You pay me for what I do now, and you don't have to overpay me in the future. You just pay me fairly now, and you can pay me fairly on the next job, rather than me give you a deal on this one, and you're going to let me gouge you on the next. Because that's some of the bullshit you get out of flaky contractors. But, anyways, that's all. I just going through, I got to keep an eye on everybody. And I had some problems with my tile guy today, and I'm like, hey, guy, if I didn't catch this stuff, it would have been missed. And so he actually commented earlier. This is earlier, but I just called him a little while ago, and he said, "I'm below me." He goes, "I watch my guys. I'm going to keep an eye on my guys. I'm going to watch my guys." I said, "Okay, you keep an eye on them, and I'll keep an eye on you." And so, sure enough, I go in there and I find problems, and I sent him a picture. Grout lines were not very good, and anyway, he's over there now. He's taking care of business where he's got to work, and but those are the things that Anyway, so much for on the subs. What's everybody else doing? By the way, this is a new laser. This is pretty cool. This is really neat. This You guys probably some of you are already familiar with this, but basically, you just bump this up, push a button, and it gives you a very exact measurement. Within a 16th, and 20 feet, 10 feet. It's all over the place. Hey Barry, how you doing, son? That's awesome. Let's see, Liam. But as far as the economy goes, guys, I think it's time to be nervous. The interest rates are probably going to jump up another 0.75% in July, and I think it's long overdue. They should have done a long time ago, and it's going to be a lot of people. I'm starting to see a little bit of panic. In fact, I'm in the middle of a contract right now, and they're being a little bit too proud, and their property. I may just kill it. Uh, that's what I'm thinking, anyways, because I just think I'm starting to see prices drop. I'm starting to, you saw the price of lumber drop. I'm hoping the price of concrete drops because I got to pour some pretty soon. Uh, so it'll be interesting to keep an eye on some of the other things besides lumber to see if they've dropped. But I don't know. What do you guys see out there? Are you concerned about anything? Are you worried? Are you in deals that you're thinking about pulling out of? Because that's the other thing that'll start happening is people will start to bail. You'll start to see deals fall out. You'll start to see properties go on the market that you'll start to see deals go on the market that were under contract, and they come back on market because people fell out, they didn't get their financing together, or they're nervous. It's very, it's all over the place. But there's going to be a lot of opportunities to make money, and you guys that haven't bought your first property, listen, just save your money right now, and it's never a bad time to invest. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying wait, and I'm not saying because I'm never one to say wait for things to get better. It doesn't matter. But right now, because of the quick changes that are going on, you will start to see people freak out. Brian Gonzalez says, I'm starting to see prices drop in my area, 10 to 30K. Yeah, that's per listing. I don't doubt that. I've seen some of that here, and believe me, those of you got my book. Where's my book? If you don't have my book, get my book. Wake Up and Smell the Real Estate. I'm in a bestseller on Amazon, Kindle, and Audible. And please hit that like and subscribe button. Let's see. Jermon says, I'm still seeing these greedy realtors trying to convince non-qualified buyers to buy a home they know they can't afford. Well, I mean, hey, ultimately, that should fall. Listen, the bank can really be a person's best friend, especially somebody that's not very sophisticated with money, because the bank will say you don't qualify. And guess what? When they tell you don't qualify, they have measurements to fetter that out. And so sometimes the bank telling you no could be the best thing that ever happened to you. Just by the way, Barry says, should we have a longer time horizon for holding a deal until the market rebounds? I don't think so, Barry. I don't throw good money after bad. I mean, with the interest rate going up, people can buy less. In other words, if you qualified for a $400,000 home last month, today you probably only qualify for a $360,000 home. So you lost 10% of your buying power, just with a movement of the interest rate going up. And I don't know if that's exactly right, but that's probably not too far up. And that's what you can expect to happen next month. So the guy that could buy 400 is down to 360 next month. Now he only qualifies to buy 330. And believe me, the bank doesn't want to make bad loans. The bank does not want to make bad loans. And a lot of times people say, "Oh, the banks are treat me unfairly. It's because I'm black, or it's because I'm brown, or it's because I'm a woman." They look at numbers, and there might be some high risk areas and that sort of thing, but the fact is, they're business. It's all business. Just like me. I'll hire anybody. I don't care anything about color. I don't care about anything other than, can you make me money? And if you can make me money, you're golden. And the banks, similar to that, is they make money off you. They make money off good loans, and they lose their credibility on bad loans, and they get in deep trouble. They can't loan out as much if they have bad debts. Bad stuff falling back on them. So that's why they're trying to get that stuff off their books right away. Uh, but I don't know what else. What else have you seen out there? How about you, Liam? What have you seen? Got anything going? Gemini, I'm the opposite. Not saying any for sale signs, just leased commercial properties. Yeah, I've been signing leases all month. I'm a little overdue, but I had actually was surprised at how many I had come and do at the same time. And you know, uh, even if I don't raise the rents are going up just because of the triple nets on the commercial office and the industrial stuff. Uh, and I mean, I don't have to take advantage of the stuff that I have in place. Sometimes I don't, but some of them are well overdue to be bumped up a little bit. And that's the thing, when you got a property you want to sell, you definitely want to keep it. You want to get the rents up as high as you can because it makes your property worth more. But fortunately for me right now, I have nothing to sell, and I have only really one piece of land, significant size piece of land that doesn't produce. It eats. It just eats taxes. It eats money. Uh, I actually have a gas line going through there, and I'm actually getting a check for 20 grand on that property this month. But just for access. Anyways, they got to stage things off from one property or another to do things. You'll see that happen over time when you have enough property that these things come up. Um, but so I just wanted to share that. You there's nothing you can do to get out of it. You have to watch your subs. If you're going to do remodels, and believe me, people say you like doing fixer uppers. I had another guy, my locksmith, call me today. Say, "Hey Tom, what do you think of this?" And it sounds like shit. Don't do it. And I explained why. But you're in this business to make money, and the last thing you want to do is make an emotional purchase when things are on the down, on how they're heading down. Now, believe me, I've made great money buying stuff in a downturn. I leapfrog, buy it cheap, sell it still before it hits that line again, and you can do that. Um, uh, and there's also opportunities with, listen, I'll tell you a story. So this is a good one. So look, we had a disastrous mess actually in Texas in the '80s. Uh, the savings and loan crisis. It was all over the country, to be honest, but Texas got hit particularly hard. I was in California then, but I had an apartment complex, and I've told this story before. But anyway, I had an apartment complex. Property sold for $1.2 million. Went back to the bank. They couldn't make their payments. The bank sells the property for $750,000. They go belly up. Goes back to the bank. Bank sells it again for $550,000. They can't make it. Goes back to the bank again. I come in and I buy it for $340,000. I hang on to it. It makes money. I raise the rents. I fix the property up, and I sell it for. Let's see. I sold it for 55 a unit times 34 units, so probably 1.9 million. More than right in there somewhere. I think so. Uh, yeah, sold one for 1.3 and the other one for a million something. Anyways, but so anyway, I made almost a couple $1 million on that deal, at least $1.5 million, and that's what a recession can bring. You can buy properties that are far less than construction cost, and and like I say, but obviously somebody's eating their lunch on that. Somebody's going to crumble. Somebody's going to, the people that don't use their heads. Not my students. My students use their heads, but I'm gonna do a Grant Cardone uh, video here again pretty soon because I saw it and I didn't even watch it yet. But it's like, I turn $900 into a billion, or I turn $3,000 into a billion, or 3 billion, or whatever he says. Anyways, I don't think you're really gonna. I don't think he's really gonna get to how he made it, because he's using other people's money. Okay, and so nobody's gonna get rich making 4% unless you're getting 4% of thousands of people's investment. If you're getting half of somebody else's investment, and which is kind of what Grant does, right? He gets a bunch of people come in, buy this, and he shares in the profit, their profit, right? In other words, they get their share, he gets his share. He described a property as he said, I'm getting ready to, I just got a check for 2 million. I got, what did he say? He said, I got 800,000, and the investors got 1.2 million. They got 1.2 million. I got 800,000. Well, that's a 40-60 split. But he didn't explain that. But it was very telling. So I want to know what he did for his 40%. Did he put in 40%, or did he just put the deal together? Because that's what most of these things that I've seen have been. There, listen, you could invest with me if I'm taking your money and I'm going to go buy a house like Chris Crone does with other people's money. I'm going to go buy a house. We're going to hold it for 15 years, 20 years, and then we're going to sell it. We're going to split the profit. Well, you didn't need Chris Crone to buy a house. He needed you because he used your money to buy the house, and I was going to split the profit with you. Fantastic. So, but you know what? If you aren't smart enough to understand that that's going nowhere, and believe me, people are terrible. They don't use their head. Uh, then you're probably doomed anyways. It's like it's like going to it's like that Jack and the Beanstalk, right? I mean, that turned out to be pretty good because they found the goose that lays the golden eggs. But that's probably not going to happen with Chris Crone or Grant Cardone. But anyways, so I got to get some groceries. Gonna have a meal with my boys. Looking forward to that. And I'm just going to say, man, get the book, Wake Up and Smell the Real Estate. If you're a new subscriber, please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. You'll learn a lot here. Listen, I know I'm probably the best mentor anybody could ever have in this business because I've been doing this. I got started very young. I started at 19 years old. I'm 60 now. So I've been doing this 41 years of buying and selling houses, commercial buildings, offices, everything you can imagine. And I started with zero. There's no money in my family. I am the money. And that's what you need. You need to start with somebody that started with zero, built a fortune, but built a fortune, made their millions on real estate. That's the difference. I've made my money on real estate, uh, not other people's money. Not other. See, I consider Grant Cardone the money he's made in his apartments. He bought apartments. Big deal. He's got $3 billion worth of apartments with other people's money. You know what I mean? It's not the same. Getting people to buy houses with you and taking half their profit, nothing to brag about. And you're probably not really going to explain how you made your money. You say, oh yeah, real estate's great. I made tons of money on real estate. But if you're not really giving away the details, like that you got a bunch of other people to pay for it and you took half the money, yeah, it doesn't mean much. So, anyways, buyer beware. You gotta do your due diligence on information as much as anything else. You're definitely not gonna do well. So, hey, thanks for watching. I got some great videos coming, really great. I went to a stone quarry. My members in the VIP membership, they've seen it already, but not all of it. But I take you to a quarry, get the product. Now we got stone cutters. We're cutting product. We're making cool stuff. It's gonna be a fun one to watch. Other real estate deals. I got some other stuff. I got quite a bit of video stuff backlogged here to put out in videos. But hey, it's always a pleasure. Appreciate you guys watching. And again, just be safe. Be careful with your money. Don't go handing it to don't go do your due diligence, right? Just like you don't hire a bad sub or somebody without a reputation or reviews. Yeah, you don't do that with a mentor either. And anyways, thanks for watching. We'll catch you guys later.